The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
You heard that right. The US, under Trump, the man who campaigned on not being in wars, on saving the United States money and personnel, wants a whole other war.
That's brilliant.
He wants to take over the Gaza Strip, to bring on Armageddon and the end times, likely inciting massive violence from the entire Middle East. Here's what Trump had to say.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
All right, let's dive into this. Trump boldly claims that the US will take over the Gaza Strip, as if this isn't somehow a full-on colonialism takeover, and he justifies it on account of creating unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area, who have just had their entire lives flipped upside down by the US's ally.
Unlimited numbers of jobs and housing.
So many issues. First, the international law says no, right? The Gaza Strip is internationally recognized as an occupied territory. So under the United Nations Charter, taking territory by force is a big no-no. The International Court of Justice has even ruled that Gaza remains occupied, meaning that no one, not even Israel, can simply hand it over without Palestinian consent. Second, whatever your view is on the Israel versus Palestine situation, this specific action reeks of colonial vibes. Transforming Gaza into a US-run real estate project isn't innovative. It's an echo of an old imperialistic practice that involves forcibly displacing people, an act that seldom goes well. Third, money talks. Rebuilding Gaza is estimated to cost around $80 billion. That's only rebuilding. It's not defending, nothing like that, just rebuilding. And let's be honest, let's look at the polls that got Trump elected. A whopping 57% of Americans aren't thrilled about the idea of their tax dollars being funneled into such an expensive foreign venture.
America first.
But wait, there is more. There's more that Trump has to say, so let's get to it.
Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Oh, what an interesting justification. So Trump justifies his theft on account of insisting that the conflict is going to remain the same. That is not a justification, and it's not even paying us the respect of pretending to be one. Again, history repeats itself. The US has been down this road before, as many of you watching are well aware. Interventions into Iraq and Afghanistan have showed us time and time again that trying to fix foreign lands with military muscle only leads to prolonged conflicts, losses of lives, and staggering financial costs. If you look at some of the most backward places in the Middle East, you're talking where human rights are being violated egregiously every day, the US's fingerprints are there. Even if it's not a direct result of colonial powers, it is heavily exacerbated by it. We've done this. We've done this before. Compounding this is the fact that US military has repeatedly made clear that nation building isn't exactly in their job description. So why would Gaza magically be any different? It's just another overreach that risks repeating the same costly mistakes at everyone's expense, apart from the fat cats up top.
I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all.
Really? Trump thinks that this will somehow end the bloodshed?
Right.
Is anyone else getting the mixed signals? On the one hand, Trump is talking about peace, love, peace. On the other hand, his plan involves forced displacement and territorial acquisition. This isn't building bridges, it's tearing them down. Again, no matter what your stance is, there can be no doubt on this specific thing. Trump's plan flies in the face of decades of bipartisan support for a two-state solution. Not to mention, key Middle East allies like Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia have already voiced strong opposition to any plan that involves displacing Palestinians. Peace, he says, being built on such shaky grounds. Don't waste my time.
A lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. We are actually a very respected nation again.
serious?
Yeah, sorry to break it to you, though I'm sure you're already aware of this, but rather than earning respect, Trump's proposals and actions have drawn widespread condemnation from human rights groups to leaders of US apparent allies, don't even know if we're allies anymore, to every geezer down the pub. The US is becoming more and more of a joke, and it is painful to watch because the US is the best country in the world, but it has an absolute moron as a leader. Far from boosting the US's standing, Trump chips away at the US's moral authority on a global stage. Listen, the US has always been seen as this power force, as the good guys, as people that really care about democracy, that care about liberty, that care about freedom. And yet, with Trump in charge, what is he doing? What is happening? He steps away from an actual fight that the US should be in, against Russia, fighting with Ukraine, should be there, steps away from it so that he can do what? Alienate his allies. He is deteriorating the US's standard. He really is. And the only people that seem to think that he's not is a certain subset of Americans. Republicans. And here he is especially eroding the US's credibility. Supporting forced displacement, or what many see as ethnic cleansing, doesn't line up with being a champion of human rights and international law. It looks terrible, because it is terrible. Again, it doesn't matter what your stance is on Israel versus Palestine. This specific act, my God, how can you think that that's a good idea? And how can you think that it's a good idea when you voted in the man because you're struggling to buy eggs? Your tax money may well go to a venture in a different land that is very likely to fail.
We want the Arab and Muslim nations to have peace and have tranquility and have great lives.
Think about it. Displacing Palestinians en masse is the exact opposite of promoting peace. It's very likely to create a new refugee crisis and further destabilize an already volatile region. And again, this isn't good news for the people back in the US, those who are struggling to buy eggs, those who are economically suffering, because this is going to cost way more than just building resources. I mean, after all, this isn't just a foreign policy misstep. Diverting resources to fund such an expensive Middle Eastern project conflicts with his own promises, with Trump's own promises to prioritize America's heartland. Rural communities are already feeling the pinch from policies that have cost them dearly due to Trump's major loss antagonizing their closest allies, doing damage that will not heal for a very long time. Now, before I wrap up, let's quickly touch on a couple of the peripherals, okay? These are peripheral, but they are crucial points. Trump's plan would likely siphon funds already away from much-needed domestic infrastructure, projects like broadband, healthcare, and more, that rural communities in particular, Trump's base, desperately need. Remember, he ran on the idea of reducing US involvement in foreign conflicts. That was the second thing he'd done. He's messing up his voters on two fronts here. He's completely trolling them. They didn't want to be in foreign conflicts. This is a foreign conflict. They wanted the price of eggs to come down. This will not help them. It's diverting funds and resources elsewhere as he alienates the people that actually gets you your product. Now, he is proposing one of the most expensive interventions in recent history. That is a glaring inconsistency with his American first rhetoric.
America first.
So, to sum it all up, Trump's proposal for Gaza is not only legal and economically problematic, it's historically flawed and politically reckless. It risks violating international law, alienating key allies, further destabilizing an already destable region, and betraying the very American voters, especially in rural areas, who expected a focus on domestic revolution, especially in rural areas who expected a focus on domestic revitalization rather than another expensive foreign entanglement. It also feeds exactly, precisely, into the hands of China and Russia, who want us, the West, occupied. That is what they need. They need us to be weak, and that is what Trump makes us, because he divides us.